What is going on, guys? It is your boy Ace Solomon here, back in the video, and today we are going to be going over my top 10 tight ends in the NFL here. It's going to be a good list, I'm not going to lie. We have done receivers, cornerbacks, we did 32 quarterbacks, and we've done running backs. And today we're going to be going on to tight ends, man. Tight end is such an important position because they do what the receiver does. They catch the ball, but also they block, and it's a new era of tight ends, man. Players like Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, they're really revolutionizing the position right now, and it's one of the fastest growing positions in the NFL. There are more elite tight ends than ever now, it feels like. There's like so many good tight ends, and there's all over the league now. I mean, tight ends are big playmakers. They're all over the field, and we're going to get right into the video, but first, if you guys are new, drop a sub, man. We are so close to 270. I would really appreciate it if you guys did. And I'm not going to waste any more of you guys' time here. We're going to get straight into the video. And by the way, comment your top 10 in the comment section down below. So number 10 is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is in a weird spot. Some people don't think he's top 10, but I think he's top 10. Ever since he got traded to the Cardinals, he played amazing, dude. He had finished the year with 763 yards, 74 receptions, and he had 5 touchdowns. Which, that's not that bad stats, man. He definitely did good. His best game was probably against the Seahawks, where he had 2 touchdowns and 88 yards with Colt McCoy at quarterback. But Zach Ertz, for being on the team for the first year, played great last year. And we saw what he was able to do in Philly. He was great in Philly. And if he can bring any sort of that into Arizona, he will be a great player. It's just his run blocking was not the best last year. But his production on offense made up for it. At number 9, we have Dalton Schultz, which he's an interesting player because he went from having a sneaky good week into becoming a top 10 tight end in all of football. Yeah, he had a really good week, and then everyone was talking about him for fantasy, and then he just continued to blossom and become a consistent player, and now he's a top 10 tight end in my eyes. Last year, he finished the year with 808 yards, 78 receptions, and 8 touchdowns, which overall, for a guy that wasn't even starting at tight end in week 1, a pretty good year. He is definitely a guy I could see becoming a 1,000-yard receiver. With the fact that they did lose Amari Cooper, they don't have Michael Gallup, and they don't have James Washington now, so he's going to be one of the main offensive targets for the Dallas Cowboys. And I could end up seeing him improve and having a better season than he did last year. He had a great season. He improved in everything. His blocking got way better. So overall, I think that he can be a big-time playmaker for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's why he's at the number 9 spot. At number 8, we have Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins. He's interesting because he is not a great blocker. I'm not going to lie. He's a very bad blocker, to say the least. But his receiving really makes up for it. He's an absolute dynamic threat when receiving the ball. He can make crazy catches. He can make one-handers. He can catch it over you. He has great yards after the catch. Great hands. He's just a great weapon, man. He's athletic, but his blocking really holds him back on this list here, especially in the new offense that Mike McDaniel runs, where it's going to be a lot of running. They're going to expect to use him like a George Kittle, but his blocking isn't that great. But last year he had 780 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 73 receptions on 112 targets, which that's not a bad year. That's his career high in receptions, and his career high in receiving yards. So, I mean, honestly, not a bad year. It's just that he's going to have to improve in his blocking. And if he can do that, he can easily move up on this list. But for right now, I have him at the number 8 spot. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, on 56 receptions, he ended up getting 830 yards and 4 touchdowns. Which, that's pretty impressive, and Dallas Goedert's actually kind of underutilized. Last year, he ended up splitting some of the reps with Zach Ertz, and once Zach Ertz left, he showed that he's elite, man. He is the number 1 guy, and he is a great blocker too, man. He is a great blocker. He ended up helping the Eagles have the most rushing yards in the NFL last year, the best rushing offense with his blocking, and man, his receiving is not the best, but definitely the blocking makes up for it. And he's getting better as a receiver, man, as the years go on. He is definitely an elite tight end now. And he's just going to keep growing and becoming better and better and better. So, Dallas Goedert's a guy I would definitely watch out for, especially in this new offense with A.J. Brown. And if Jalen Hurts shows that he's the franchise guy, Dallas Goedert will no doubt end up cracking this top 5 sooner than later. That's why he is at the number 7 spot. Coming in at number 6, it's a little of a surprise, but we have TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson's interesting because last year he only had 583 yards on 61 catches and he only had 4 touchdowns. But he was really injured, and the year before he was a Pro Bowler. And I feel like he is going to absolutely break out next year, man, because he's a beast, man. He has a 72.6 catch rate. You know, he says career high with yards per game with 48.6. And before he got hurt, he had 163 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2 games. So overall, I think that he is a beast. He did take a little step backward as a blocker, but he's a reliable target, and I think that he is going to be very good in the upcoming season. I just feel like last year was a down year. I feel like he's going to bounce back insanely, and that's why I have him at the number 6 spot. Coming in at number 5, we have Darren Waller here. Last year, he missed a lot of games. He missed 6. But he still finished number 11 in all of receiving yards for tight ends. He averaged 60 yards per game receiving, which for tight ends, that's number 5, which that's pretty good. He can serve as like a focal point of offense. He's a dynamic receiving threat. He's a former receiver. He can run routes insanely well. He is great, man. He is one of the best tight ends in all football. And he's going to prove why he's so good. 2020, he had an amazing year. But last year, he did slack a little. But he should be back to getting 1,000 receiving yards like he did in 2020. You know, he is a guy that is a baller. And I feel like he's so talented that last year was a little setback, but he's going to bounce back stronger than he ever has before. Coming in at number 4, we have Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. Last year, Kyle Pitts was only a rookie, but he registered 1,000 receiving yards, which is absolutely crazy. He broke Julio Jones' rookie receiving record, and he became the first tight end to record 1,000 receiving yards in a season, rookie tight end, since Mike Ditka back in 1961. He finished with 1,026 yards on 68 receptions and 1 touchdown, which the 1 touchdown is a little bad, but he'll be able to improve that this year. He isn't your regular tight end, though. He is an absolute freak, man. He is athletic, strong, fast. He's everything you want in a tight end. He is like the Terminator, bro. He's the Terminator. He's already one of the best receivers at his position. He isn't an elite run blocker, but he will get better at that as time goes on. Obviously, you know, he still has to get stronger, but he'll be perfectly fine, and that's why Kyle Pitts is at the number 4 spot. At number 3, we have Mark Andrews, man. Mark Andrews had an absolute killer season last year with 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. And Lamar Jackson barely played last year. He was injured a lot of year, and he did that with a backup quarterback, man. He absolutely went off. He is an insane level tight end at receiving, man. He led the league for tight ends in receptions and yards, and he was first team All-Pro, and it was well deserved. He even set the Ravens single season receiving record for them, man. That's insane, man. The whole thing is, though, that Hollywood Brown has left, so every team knows that their only real weapon is, as you guys know, Mark Andrews. So it's going to be a little interesting to see what they have in store. But I think they'll be perfectly fine because Mark Andrews is that good that he's a hard cover, man. He's one of the best tight ends in all football. And I personally cannot wait to see if he can replicate his success he had last year. At number 2, we have George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. George Kittle is interesting because he gets hurt a lot. But when he's on the field, he's an impact player, man. Last year, he finished with 910 yards, 6 touchdowns on 71 receptions. And he's the best blocker for a tight end in all football, man. He is insane. He is, the best blocker. He is insane, and that's why he's up here. His blocking's so good. His receiving's great, too. It's not like he's just a great blocker. He can really catch the ball, too. And he does it at an elite level. He averaged 65 yards per game, which is 4th among all tight ends in all football, and 6 in receptions. And he was tied for 7th in touchdowns. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And honestly, he's going to help Trey Lance develop, and he's going to make his life a whole lot easier. and he's the reason why the run offense is so great. At the number 1 spot, we already know who's at number 1. It is Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. He is easily the best tight end in all football. Last year, he had 92 receptions for 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is getting a little old, though. He is turning 33 in October, but he's been insane. He's had 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and he isn't the best blocker because he doesn't really have to block. Usually, he's always running a route because he's that good. But this year is going to be a little different because he's not going to have Tyreek Hill, so the majority of the focus is going to be on Travis Kelce. So it's going to be a little weird seeing how he's going to be able to operate, but I think he's going to be perfectly fine, man. He's an insane level player. He can do it all. He's a great leader. He's a focal point of that offense now, at least. But, I mean, he still has some great receivers around him. I feel like he'll be perfectly fine. I feel like Kansas City will succeed with him still. He's great, man, at everything he does. That's kind of how Kelce does it. If you guys did enjoy the video, I would appreciate it if you guys dropped a sub, man. We are so close to 270, and I put a lot of hard work into this video, so I'd really appreciate it. And I'm not going to waste any more of your guys' time. It's your boy, ASAW Man, and I'm out. Peace.